Beautiful.
All right. We are here with Double Trouble with J&G. I am Gunner.
And I am Jack, and we are back here in Austin, Texas on this beautiful, humid day. What are we drinking today, Gunner?
Today we took a break from the bourbon, and now we are sipping some beautiful Blue Moons.
Excellent. Well, I might have to take a 2-minute break to reload us in the middle of this because we've fortunately already been sipping our way through these prior to our little stream start.
But a little preview about what this little chat is. This is just what we do every Friday. We just sort of shoot shit, talk about life, art,
and everything in between.
Everything in between. This is just us pandering, going on a rant for 30 minutes straight.
Pretty much.
Jack, what has been on your mind?
What has been on my mind? 2 things have been on my mind so far. First, I would like to shout out, this is going to be our first shout out of a charity.
Oh, okay.
So my favorite charity right now is, it's called Barbershop Books.
Okay.
And what they do is in primarily Black neighborhoods, they will go into barbershops and they will bring out these stands of books, and they will populate them with books and then sort of maintain them over the course of time. And they will allow young Black men to become readers inside these barbershops, surrounded by healthy, positive male influences, which I feel very, very strongly about.
Dude, love us some healthy male positive influences.
Absolutely.
Right?
That basically means I have a good relationship with my dad. So
yeah, that's funny. In New Orleans, we actually did a project called the Little Free Library Project.
Okay, tell me more.
And so we each got to build a little free library. And normally it's just like a little birdhouse and it has the books inside of it. But we got full reign to build whatever we wanted.
This is cool.
As long as it held books.
This is really cool.
So I built a full-scale model of a Trojan horse.
All right.
And that is now positioned in someone's yard in front of their house in New Orleans as a little free library.
That is something else, huh? That is really something else.
Yeah. But yeah, that's my experiences with libraries.
Sweet. Well, these are just in barbershops. I've made a few donations myself. I would encourage anyone, if they have the financial means, to go ahead and check out Barbershop Books. It's just Barbershop Books on Instagram. So our other plug is our YouTube channel. So all of these all these little chats are being screen recorded from Zoom in a very janky way, and we're throwing them on YouTube. Because why not?
You know, okay, there is a great quote from an artist named Jesse Morgan Barnett. He is a Fort Worth-based sculptor and conceptual artist. And when asked about a show, deep reference. It's either a reference
or you don't get it.
Now, Jesse Morgan Barnett, he had this great quote in this interview. The woman asked him, was your show successful? And he says, I don't have much of a relationship with success, but I find comfort knowing that it exists in the archive of culture. Yeah. And that's sort of what these are. These will exist and sort of perpetuate in culture, and they'll build up over time, and we'll have a catalog of ideas.
Can this be considered culture?
This is the culture.
It is the culture. What is it the culture of?
It's the culture of banter.
Culture of banter. Okay.
I like that. I have a crazy idea. I think that in the year 2040, that archaeologists and anthropologists will go back in time in the way back machine on the internet where they can find old things on the internet, right?
Absolutely.
And they will look to these conversations as examples of how individuals talked between each other.
Interesting. In 2040.
In 2040.
Okay, so
I'll still be alive.
I was gonna say, do you plan on being alive in 2040?
Well,
I should ask you that.
With advances in modern medicine, we could die tomorrow.
That is possible. We also might live to what? We're 40, 41, 42, respectively, something like that. Yeah, we'll hopefully be kicking. I mean, I plan on being kicking.
I plan on kicking anything and everything in my sight.
Including cats.
Including small children.
Well done. Yeah. That's a good dark turn for the worse. And we're now going to segue somehow into another topic because we need to leave.
That's what they told me when I started kicking those small cats.
No. Well then. Right. All right. Let's get personal.
Oh.
Let's get personal. High school. Bring yourself back. The hormones are raging. You're pissed off at everything.
Oh my God.
Love it or hate it. High school. And why?
Please bring me out of it. What? Love it or hate it?
Love it or hate it.
Oh my God. Okay. Such a formative time. How could you you hate a formative time because it's it's like growing pains, right?
Growing pains, man.
But wow, okay. What do you think? What's your opinion on it?
Oh, I did not like high school, my friend. That's why I wanted to ask you this question, because I wanted to get your perspective.
You personally did not.
Personally,
like high school?
not a fan. Not a fan.
Was that just socially, academically? Was it the growing pains? What was it?
There was a lot of growing pains, my man. There was a lot of growing pains. Oh yeah. Hey, but you live, you learn, and sometimes you come out on top, and sometimes you don't.
The powerful play keeps going, and you may contribute the verse.
Sure.
But yeah, I'd say high school was a very interesting time. Through those growing pains, you find out a lot about yourself. And then also, I think that was the first time, I went to an all-boys school, and we only had, after Katrina hit, it decimated our class size.
Well, because people probably just left like crazy.
People left. All the girls in our class ended up leaving. So we were left with 10 guys in the whole grade.
Wow.
And it was just us 10 guys throughout grade school. And so when I go to high school, it's like a totally different social scene. So that was really where I sort of figure out how to even interact with, meeting new people, and because I'd known those other guys since kindergarten.
So can I interrupt? Why did you not leave during Katrina? Because that was obviously devastating for the city of New Orleans.
So I actually evacuated and went to Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, to live with my mother. And then I went back. I only left for 1 year. So, most kids that I was like, who ended up staying, right?
Sure.
They ended up staying for third grade. But New Orleans was like, a shell of its former self,
Gotcha.
Like it took a while for the schools to get up and running. And my friends who couldn't, like my mom lives in Pittsburgh, and I could like go up there and just
go camp out for a while,
continue another life, right? A lot of people had to like go to Houston and spend like a year in Houston, just at a different school with people they didn't know,
And you're only going to be there for a year, right? Yeah. So you're not trying to form any sort of permanent bonds. You're kind of just trying to get through your year and kind of get back out.
Whereas I was in Pittsburgh, and I didn't know if I was going to stay there for high school or anything like that.
Gotcha.
I fell in love, and it was a summertime. Oh my god, that was crazy.
Yeah. That happens, man. That's high school.
That's third grade.
That's just
third grade.
Oh, that was third grade. Well, that was third grade, wasn't it? Yeah, that was a long time ago.
But you know what I think it gave us? I think all of the kids who returned back to New Orleans had that sort of shared experience of having been away for a year. Sure. And I think that's going to be something common amongst all the people our age who are having to leave college for a single year, whether that's remotely or gap years.
We lost a year. The lost generation.
Dude, can I tell you, when I was back in New York seeing the first art shows go back up after the pandemic, they were all, this was in the middle of summer. They were all flowers. They were all springtime imagery.
Sort of a rebirth.
It was a reference to a spring we lost.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
It's either a reference
or you don't get it.
That's right.
That's it.
I think that's our tagline. I think we've arrived upon something here. I think it's either a reference or you don't get it is really what we're going for. That is fascinating. Okay, so this is something I've been thinking about for a while. I always heard this from my old man growing up, and it was, Jack, do well in school because nerds run the world.
Ah.
Do you agree with that? Do you agree with my old man, Dad McManus?
Dad McManus. Dad McManus and I go way back. Not too far back, but
I was gonna say I've only been in college for about 3.5 years, my friend.
Well, okay. This is what I would say. My dad had a similar sort of. He said, growing up, he's like, damn, it's so good that you guys, that people are starting to value education, and that people are realizing with all these like tech people that like smart people, back in my day, like if you were fucking smart, that was the end of it. Like you were a fucking outcast. And I was like, damn, Dad.
That's
like, I'm glad it's changed. And here I am, like, because that 10-person class, we were all competitive.
Sure.
But meanwhile, I'm getting told, like, back in my day, if you were you would get beat the fuck up. And I'm like, okay.
Well, that sucks.
But yeah, I think,
Are we going to tell embarrassing dad stories now? Because my old man has some embarrassing fucking stories.
Like what?
Like what?
Like what?
All right. I'm going to paint a picture for you, and I want you to bear with me.
Who's the artist now?
Touche. The year is 1980.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blanking on his name right now, and it's the drummer for Led Zeppelin has just passed away.
Oh.
Is it John Bonham?
I think it is.
It's John Bonham. John Bonham has just passed away. My old man, Dad McManus, is the biggest Led Zeppelin fan in the entire world.
Yeah.
Still is, for the record. Still is. I grew up on Led Zeppelin. And he and his buddies, who he just happens to play Dungeons and Dragons with every Saturday evening. Yeah, now you know where my nerdiness comes from.
Okay, nerds rule the world.
So yeah, that's why I was told this, right? Nerds rule the world. Decide that they, in their school's yearbook, the Dungeons and Dragons crew, are all gonna cosplay in their characters' get-ups.
Oh my god!
Take a picture in the woods.
Yeah.
And do a tribute page to John Bonham as seniors in high school, as they're graduating. They're gonna do a tribute page. I asked him. I said, "Dad, was this not social suicide in high school? I mean, my God, like." Kids in college, they don't give a damn, right? But when you're in high school, kids are mean, man. They're freaking mean.
Yeah.
And he said, nah, you couldn't really see our faces. They were kind of, the camera quality back then, in the early 80s, was so bad that you couldn't see someone's face. So they got away with it. Nobody knew that.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's why I love Dungeons and Dragons, because my old man played it, and we played it growing up. And I think it's a great game. I think theater of the mind is an incredibly powerful creative tool.
There was, speaking of things that looked to be high school social suicide, I started making mixtapes in high school. And
that's not problematic.
Started a hip-hop rap collective. And, it started off with just my friends. And basically it grew to like anyone who wanted to rap on this mixtape could. Like if they came to the session at lunch and spit bars, like, we would put it out.
How many bars did you need to spit to get on the mixtape? 16 bars.
16 bars.
So 4 bar Friday times 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Do you have 4 bars for us this Friday, or is that maybe something we should do next week?
Oh, that's next week. I'll come prepared with the many bars.
We'll each come prepared with 4 bars, and we'll let our viewers decide.
Do you know what my rapper name was?
I would love to know.
It was Juicy G.
Juicy G.
And, okay, so I enter into this. This is sophomore year. I enter into this escapade thinking that it's just something I'll do with my friends, right? But then I make it. One summer, I'm like, I'm gonna make this into a club. So sophomore year, I come in and I'm like, all right, we're gonna make it a club. We make it a club. We get members, right? We got a teacher to sponsor us. We fill up.
I believe I know the name of this club.
It's the Hot Fire Mixtape Club.
Exactly.
But we fill up the classroom. We get too big for the classroom. And so they're like, okay, you can use the band room.
The band room? Oh, so you're a musical group now.
Yeah, well, it starts off as just like rap battles, but people come, and anyone who comes is like a part of the club. They sign in and blah, blah, blah. But we get too big for the classroom. We fill up the band room. We get too big for the band room. We go to the auditorium.
The auditorium?
We get to a point to where like there are only 10 people in the school who aren't in the club. And we end up going to the football field, and we almost got Big Frida to actually perform for our rap battle tournament.
That's not a huge name, but also not a small name for a freaking high school club. I mean, that's something.
It's a high school club in New Orleans, Louisiana. But the day before she could come, we gathered the funds to get her to come. She went to jail.
Oh!
Yeah.
Freer, man.
So
like free schmurda, Same deal.
But yeah, I would go to this club every day not every day, but every week in a full Adidas tracksuit.
Were you holding a water bottle that had vodka running on the outside?
And I thought that it could be, a way to do, high school social suicide. But it ended up being just people having fun, people doing what they wanted to do.
Of course.
No judgment, and yeah, it was the time.
I feel like a club where you can experience no judgment, but also being in high school is a very powerful experience. There's something to be gained there.
There's something bonding about
it. Yeah, good for you, man. That's really dope. I love a certain phrase, and I want to see what your reaction to it is.
All right.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. What do you think about them apples?
I think there are pros and cons.
Tell me more.
Okay. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So obviously you have, if it's going good, you can keep the good going, right?
Ride the lightning, baby.
But there is a time in every young man's life where progress needs to be made, right?
Sure. What would be an example of one of those times in a young man's life?
Okay. So for instance, my Jeep windshield. right. Okay.
Let's elaborate on the Jeep windshield for anyone that might watch this in posterity.
If anyone has seen a Jackson Pollock painting, they might know what my Jeep windshield looks like.
I've driven the Jeep a few times. That's an apt description.
Look, there is a legal code that says that if your windshield brake doesn't go vertically across the window, then it's fine to drive.
That's why you might as well kick it, right?
And okay, well, yeah, there's a whole reason of how it got that way, but that's besides the point. The main point is that, it's not broke, and hence I haven't fixed it. Now, should I fix it?
Maybe.
Probably. One of these days I will fix it, but it's not broke. But in the meantime, what am I left with? A cracked windshield.
Interesting.
So I think that's sort of
it's partway broken.
It's partway broken, and that's sort of what that sort of motto holds for me. It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like, there are things that you can keep rolling with, and but you might be driving around with a cracked windshield.
What about this? What if by the time you need to make an innovation or you need to improve upon something, it's already too late.
Ooh.
So maybe that's an alternate.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin.
It's the other side of the coin. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like let's take business A for example. Maybe they do something really well. It ain't broke, so they're not fixing it.
I've never been a fan of business A.
You haven't? Well, good for you. Let's say business A in 2006 is making flip phones.
Right.
And business A is like, it ain't broke. We're not going to fix it.
Yeah.
So they don't make any smartphones.
Yeah.
2012 rolls around. Business A is done for it.
Yeah.
Hello, BlackBerry.
Yeah. That's, I feel like the art world is somewhat experiencing that right now, where like by the time people have realized, oh shit, this NFT shit is blowing up. Oh, these VR galleries are like blowing up. It's already a little too late. It's not totally too late, but there have already been followings. People have already had the lists of who the collectors are, right? Mm-hmm. The grounds have already been treaded and paths have been made.
But things like this follow a Gaussian distribution, right?
Tell us more about the Gaussian
distribution. Sure. So a Gaussian distribution is also known as a bell curve. Mm-hmm. And a bell curve is a beautiful way to describe many phenomena that exist in business, art, life, and quite frankly, everything in between. Mm. And your initial, if you can get in on the initial piece of innovation.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Let's say Uber with ride sharing.
Right.
They're right on that innovator level, right? They're right on that early adopter stage. Early adopters and entrepreneurs are really on this sort of early innovator stage.
Yeah.
When you are there, your potential for growth is significantly higher because you've gotten in before everyone else has. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like investing in a stock.
Yeah.
If you got into Apple at like $30, you made an assload of money, man. You did pretty damn well for yourself. Mm-hmm. But as that sort of bell curve progresses, more and more people are now aware. You're moving from entrepreneurs to early adopters to sort of this middle 50% of people, which is tends to be the majority, in the middle about 65%. Yeah. And a Gaussian distribution tends to follow standard deviations. And standard deviations are a very powerful way to look at kind of what is the average behavior a person might exhibit, what is sort of how the average person might behave. And then the Gaussian distribution tends to sort of fall off this bell curve and sort of reach an asymptote as it continues outward. Generally, people's ability to think quickly, or IQ, tends to follow a Gaussian distribution.
I think about it in the way of the game Tiny Wings. And you're this little bird and you're going up and down the slopes and you got to hit the curves at just the right moments or you'll slow down.
That's right. And it'll become nighttime quicker.
This is a transition. It doesn't make sense, but it's a transition. Matthew McConaughey has a new Wild Turkey ad out there.
It is probably the most beautiful advertisement I've ever witnessed with my own two eyes.
Jack, can you recite it from memory?
I actually cannot.
Let's see. Oh, wait.
I cannot.
Okay. How to get?
We're gonna have to.
Oh my God. Okay. It went something along the lines of. Well, the key phrase that we really want to highlight here is he goes,
turning a what if.
Even before we get there, he's talking about the process of all of these ingredients coming together and meeting each other in a bottle, and something about an 8-year-old son. That was a little weird, but
that was pretty strange.
That was a little strange. But they all meet in a bottle, and it's what he calls a crooked path to a Tennessee straight. But then again, turning a what's if into a that's it.
Well, that's pretty tasty.
And that was, Jack, when I saw that, now to keep it PG, I experienced the sensation of pleasure when I heard that on the TV.
Well, I might be able to trace back to the R-rated version of what that was PG, but now, we're taking a crooked path from I can't
to get a Tennessee straight and turning a what's if into a that's it. That's pretty tasty.
That's life. That's life.
Yeah.
Or something.
Jack tried to sing there, and he does. No, okay.
All right.
But what I want to say about that is that was such a beautiful way of turning an abstract concept into something concrete, and done almost on inflections alone. If you just write down what he said, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make a
turning
sense.
A what's if until a that's it. That is tasty. Like what?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
But I think it goes back to the way in which some people speak tends to emulate verse.
Oh.
And the way in which Matthew McConaughey tends to speak emulates verse rather than prose. Most of us speak in prose. You and I are speaking in prose. And we might aspire to speak in verse. But you and I aren't Homer, and we're not Matthew McConaughey. And I definitely didn't just compare Matthew McConaughey to Homer because I'm not that much of a fanboy, but I kind of did.
I kind of did. Well, okay. This is an interesting thought because I was driving back from Houston last night, and I had a similar thought with the comedian Mitch Hedberg.
Okay.
And Mitch Hedberg, for those of you who don't know, he's a comedian, and his jokes are all, if you said them just deadpan, you probably would be like, that's really stupid. But the way in which he delivers these, it's almost like he's it's a cadence, it's a rhythm, it's a verse,
To me, it almost emulates. Let's say you find yourself in a bar on a Saturday night.
Okay.
And there's always kind of one person, it seems to me, that it clearly goes there every single Saturday night. Your average bar crawler, or your average bar fly, regular.
Yeah.
And this person speaks in the exact same goddamn cadence that Mitch Hedberg speaks.
Oh, for sure. Now, an example of one of Mitch Hedberg's jokes. It goes a little something like this. A man asked me if I would like a frozen banana. I said no, but I would like a regular banana later. So I guess my answer is yes.
I mean, that's not, that's a 90% rendition, of Mitch Hedberg, but it really speaks to there's sort of a cadence and a flow.
Yeah.
And some people have it and some people don't. And I've noticed that some parts of the world, and some parts of especially the United States, which I'm probably much more familiar with, quite honestly, have this more rhythm, flow, and cadence to the way they speak. And I've noticed that some people in Texas have it.
Yeah.
A lot of people across the South have it. And it's noticeably absent on the West Coast.
Ooh. Well, the West Coast, doesn't it have its own cadence and rhythm, like the
there's an interesting
accent?
The Valley Girl accent is interesting because it's not 100% accurate to Southern California.
Yeah.
But in Southern California, everyone tends to enunciate every single syllable of every single word.
Now, Jack is really big on watching those accent
I watch
and dialect
way
coach.
too many of these videos.
Now, what do you think draws you to those videos?
The way in which someone speaks says so much about who they are and where they're from. And my first question to someone when I meet them for the first time is always, where are you from? Because I think you can draw a lot about a person out of them when you know about where they come from. So for some people, they could come from a place that maybe their childhood and their growing up maybe is not the most positive experience in their life, but you're still learning something from them. You're still learning about them. And maybe it's a source of great joy. Maybe someone grew up in a family that loved them and cared for them a lot, and they have this great joy in their childhood, and you'll get that from them too. So you tend to learn much more about a person when you can listen to when you know about the first 18 years of someone's life, you can learn infinitely more about them than if you hear from 18 to their current age.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I think that goes along with that idea that we talked about earlier, and those growing pains. You know,
Growing pains.
those foundational years that sort of shape a person to who they are. Interesting.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit about a term that I came across when I was watching the popular Netflix TV show Narcos, and I love Narcos.
Oh, okay.
I think it's fascinating, and I think it's this very interesting way of looking at a simple gang becoming a violent political force in a country without a very strong central government, and it's magical realism.
Magical realism, yes.
And when I was in New Orleans, we were in New Orleans together for during the time when Texas was without power.
The Great Blizzard.
The great blizzard of Central Texas. Well, I guess all of Texas, really.
All of Texas.
I was searching for magical realism in New Orleans, and I think I found a little slice of magical realism.
Where, in fact, did you find this little slice of magical realism?
I think I found it when we were driving around. So you were hungover.
Okay.
It happens. It happens, right? And your lovely dad took Joaquin and I around, a friend of ours, around New Orleans, and sort of showed us the city.
Yeah.
And there is this fascinating just joy for life that people in New Orleans seem to have. And to me, it was almost inexplicable, because here we are in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
You can't really do much.
Right.
People are out in the park, 6 feet apart, listening to live music, drinking beers and whatever's in those big long tubey cups and whatever in the middle of the day on a Saturday, and they're just dancing, they're having a great time, and they're loving life.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a little slice of magic.
One of the mottos of New Orleans that's in every Zydeco song is "C'est la vie."
That's life.
That's that's life in the city.
That's just life in the city.
And that's a reference. And if it's either a reference
or you don't get it.
And
that's kind of our motto here on Let's Reset the Room on Double Trouble with J&G. My name is Jack, and I'm joined by my friend
Gunnar Danger.
And every Friday at 5 p.m. Central, we gather together to talk about art, life, and just about everything in between.
Everything in between. We are usually joined by these 2 fingies of bourbon. But today, we have decided, we had a lot in the fridge, so we are roasting 2 Belgian white blue moons. Now, it's quite the radical departure, but if Jack and I are about anything, it's about, trying new things, taking that first step forward into brave, uncharted territory.
And also reloading on beers in the middle of our little stream here on Clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
You can also find us when we're not on Clubhouse on YouTube. The channel name is just Double Trouble with J&G.
Right.
And you are more than welcome to go check us out there. All of our old podcasts will be posted there. And, it's just us having a good time. We're just trying to contribute to the culture and document a little
slice of life.
A little slice of life, which is a perfect segue to our next topic, which is
now caveat as well. We have only 2 minutes remaining. Jack and I are very strict about this. We only do 30 minutes of content.
We only do 30 minutes of content.
So let's bring it up. What is it?
Slice of life. Slice of life. This will be our last topic.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Slice of Life. What is it?
Slice of life. Well, it reminds me of the Nathan For You episode where he's pitching an idea to a bar to try to make them, have a better, business or whatever. And, in order to let smokers come in, they pretend as if they legally make the bar a play, a performance, in which smoking is a vital part of the performance.
Sure.
And they're allowed to thus smoke in the bar. And this performance, they actually have an audience watch the people in the bar just doing their normal thing, but they call it slice of life theater.
Interesting.
It's just a little view onto the world.
So does slice of life theater have artistic merit, or is this simply a legal loophole that Nathan used?
I think it has merit. I think that there is something about just documenting. In essence, that's what photography is. You are taking something that already exists and you are just documenting it. And
it's a little slice of that.
Right.
Really.
I think even if you post up with your lawn chair and you just go sit in front of, say a 7-Eleven, and that becomes your play that you're watching, that is a valid form of theater because it's a valid form of documentation.
What might you be gaining from observing as you're doing this? What do you think could transpire from it, and
Right.
what lessons could you take away from seeing people go about their daily lives?
So I think all of our interaction with art involves a sort of, throwing out and reflecting back, right?
Okay.
And so you throw something out at a work of art,
Okay.
and depending on how impactful that artwork is, it throws back something to you. But it's all about that. It's like willing to open yourself to have something else inspire you. Yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. Well, that actually brings us to a perfect conclusion. It is now 5:30, and we have a very, very strict time limit, as you mentioned.
We do.
So we're gonna wrap us up. This has been Double Trouble with J&G. My name is Jack,
And my name is Gunnar.
and every Friday at 5 p.m. Central Time, we come together and we talk about art, life, and everything in between.
Yep.
Generally over a couple fingers of bourbon, but today over a couple beers. So Gunnar, thank you for joining us,
Yep.
and happy Friday, everyone.
Good morning, Vietnam. That was great.